What's going on, boxing fam? Subscribe or die trying. Now, something that's been bothering me and that's been on my mind, it's probably been bothering me for a couple years now, but I've only really addressed it maybe once or twice with, one of my or some of my close friends, is when I hear an African American say that they don't like Floyd because he's a runner. Now, before you start jumping to conclusions, let me make sure I straighten something up or clear something up for you. I'm in no way saying that if you are a black uh, American that you cannot like that you have to like Floyd Mayweather. I'm in no way saying that. As a matter of fact, to give you an example, growing up, I did not like Sugar Ray Leonard. I didn't really start liking Sugar Ray Leonard until he retired. Now, the reason I didn't like Sugar Ray Leonard was because I just didn't like that whole pretty boy image that he was portraying. That's why I didn't like him. Now, when people would ask me why I didn't like him, I clearly said why I didn't like him. I clearly said it was because his image. I didn't like that pretty boy image that he was portraying, and I was always hoping that he would lose. The fact that he just kept winning and he had an illustrious career pretty much won me over. And I realized that this dude is actually great, regardless that I don't like his image. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a bad boy for me to like you in boxing, but just growing up as a kid, I always rooted for the villain. Like when you had the Transformers, I liked the Decepticons. I didn't like the Autobots. When you had GI Joe, I liked it Cobra. I didn't like GI Joe. I've always rooted for the villains. When you had even back in the day to go way back when you had the Super Friends, I always liked Solomon Grundy. I didn't like Superman. I've always rooted for the villain. So that's probably why I didn't like Sugar Ray Leonard. And plus, again, I was a kid. So that was a kid mentality. So when you have adults that don't like Floyd, because excuse me, because of his image, it's kind of silly. But I can still roll with that. Because if you don't like Floyd because of his image, it is what it is. It's because of his image. But when I hear an African American say that they don't like Floyd because he's a runner, quote unquote, that really gets under my skin. And the reason it gets under my skin is because they sat there and they've let the media brainwash them into thinking that the style that they grew up doing, when you was in the street slap boxing with your friends, you went for a hit and don't be hit style. That's the style all of us grew up doing. But someone's convinced you and brainwashed you that now that's running. And the reason they brainwash you to think it's running is because it's only people who think it's running are people who can't do it. But they brainwashed you to actually hate something that you grew up doing. That is a traditional style for African American kids growing up. When you play fighting and slap boxing in the street, it's all about hit and don't be hit. Speed, quickness, elusiveness. But now people call that running. Now, when someone calls it running that's unable to do that style, I I can understand the hate. Like they say, People hate what they don't understand. I get that. It's just like when Jordan used to when he first came into the league and he was dunking all crazy, and some of the people, or even just the older generation of any race, that they weren't quite used to seeing that as much, other than from Dr. J. When they weren't quite used to seeing it as on a level of how Jordan was doing, they hated on it. He dunks too much. He needs to work on his jump shot. He's not that good. My dad used to always say Jordan's not that good. But I could understand the hate because it was a different generation, and it's different than what he was used to. So I could understand it coming from him. Now, if it was somebody my age saying that Jordan is dunking too much, but they could do the same thing, that would be weird to me. So when I hear fighters, I mean not fighters, but when I hear the general public say that Floyd's a runner, and if as a grown man, which we won't be doing, but if I was to sit there and slap box you in the street as a grown man, you're gonna be slap boxing me just like Floyd fights. You're gonna be trying to hit and not get hit. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna be trying to display your skills. That's what you're gonna do. Now, if you don't like Floyd because of any domestic violence accusations, if you don't like Floyd because you don't like him flaunting money, okay? If you don't like Floyd because you just don't like, I don't know, you just don't like people under 5'10", I can roll with that. But don't you dare, as an African American, sit there and tell me that Floyd is a runner and that's because you don't like him. You just been brainwashed, fool. Brainwashed into hating something that you was naturally doing. And you've been brainwashed by somebody who can't do it. Hate him because you don't like him. I didn't like Sugar Ray Leonard because I didn't like his image. There was no way in hell I was gonna tell you Sugar Ray Leonard didn't have skill. I didn't say, oh, Sugar Ray Leonard, hey, he throws too many jabs and he moves around the ring too much. That's why I don't like him. That would be ridiculous. Actually, my fighter back in those days was Marvin Hagler. Now, growing up though, if I was in a fight or if I was slapboxing, my style was emulating Sugar Ray Leonard. Just to keep it real. I loved Hagler, but that wasn't my style of fighting. So when it comes to not liking Floyd as African American, don't like him because of those things. But don't you dare tell me you don't like him because he's a runner. Because I don't think you realize just how stupid you sound. Thank you and have a blessed day. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Peace.